Okay, right. It's 2 minutes past, so we're gonna go press ahead. If anyone joins later, they can always catch up later with the recording. So, good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to tonight's Retina UK webinar, Sport and Sight Loss with British Blind Sport. My name's Jane Russell, and I'd like to introduce Luke Headley, who is Head of Sport Development at British Blind Sport. I want to just quickly go through a few housekeeping points before we get started. So the webinar is going to be recorded and you'll be able to access the recording after the event on the Retina UK website. It's also on YouTube and Spotify. If you've signed up for the event, then you'll also get an email link sent to you. It probably will be in the early part of next week. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end of the webinar. We're going to be collecting them as we go, so feel free to submit your question in the Q&A section, which can be found at the bottom of the screen if you're on a computer. Or if you're on a tablet or a phone, it can be found under reactions. I'm going to moderate the Q&A throughout the webinar, and I'll ask the questions on your behalf. So please send them through as you think of them throughout the webinar. You don't need to wait until the end. We'll endeavour to answer all of them that we can, but in the event that we run out of time, we'll send a follow-up email. So welcome, Luke. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'll crack on and get started. So, good evening, everybody. My name is Luke Headley. I am the Head of Sport Development at British Blind Sport. Some of you may be familiar with the organisation, some of you might not be. But I'm here to talk a little bit about who we are, what we do, what we've got currently coming up, what's on our radar, and yeah, some of the slightly different ways we're doing things now that compared to what you traditionally might know of or be aware of. So yeah, as mentioned, any questions, fire them into the chat, and I'm happy to take them and answer them as best I can at the end. Or if not, I will find somebody that will know how to answer them. So without further ado, I'll crack on. So, who are British Blind Sport? So we were established in 1975. So this is a special year for us. It's our 50th anniversary year. We've been going a long time, and we were established under the name of the British Association of Sports and Recreation Activities of the Blind. I'm sure you'll agree, quite a mouthful. It's nice to know that we've changed our name to something a bit easier that rolls off the tongue. So we were created to assist blind and partially sighted adults and children to access, opportunities and provision in sport, physical activity, and recreation. The following year, in 1976, we became a charitable organisation. And then BASRAB, I'm not going to go through that again, I'll just call it BASRAB. BASRAB officially changed its name to British Blind Sport back in 1989. So I was only 2 years old then. So try and guess my age from that. I'll let you do that. We are currently a membership organisation with over, around 1,300 members registered. We're all variety of ages, geographical spread, and locations up and down the country. Something that we're very proud of. We played a key role in the organisation and the delivery of the IBSA World Blind Games in 2023 in Birmingham. I wasn't in post at BBS then, but being a Birmingham boy, I was very proud to have that going on in my city, and there's some good legacy work that's happened off the back of that. So yeah, very proud to be associated with some of that work. For those of you that don't know, we are one of 7 national disability sports organisations. So obviously we represent blind and partially sighted people. There is UK Deaf Sport, Cerebral Palsy Sport, Dwarf Sport, Special Olympics, Willpower, Limb Power. I might have forgotten some there, but hopefully you're getting the gist. So yeah, we're one of 7 NDSOs for short, and yeah, we support blind and partially sighted people to hopefully become physically active and maintain physical activity. So I won't bore you with 5 million statistics and facts and figures, but I'll just pick out some of the key facts that we're aware of, and what research and surveys are telling us. I think a positive thing, I guess, is that 33% of inactive people with a visual impairment want to do more sport. That's a third of people, and these aren't just willy-nilly figures that we've picked out. This is research carried out by the Activity Alliance, Sport England Active Live Surveys, the RNIB. This is tangible data. Not so positive, 51% of the adult visually impaired population are classed as inactive. which is less than 30 minutes of exercise a week compared to 25% of the general adult population. So there's a bit of work to do there. And 28% of adults with a visual impairment have not taken part in physical activity in the last year, compared to only 8% of the general adult population. So, this adds further weight and importance to the work that we are trying to do as an organisation, both on a participation level, but on a workforce level, and upskilling and raising awareness. We've got a lot of work to do, and Rome wasn't built in a day. We're a small team, but we're very very ambitious, and we're very very keen to support as many people as we can to use the power of sport, physical activity. So, in a nutshell, the key objectives of British Blind Sport are to promote inclusivity across the sporting community for blind and partially sighted people, to grow participation in sport for blind and partially sighted people. I think this is probably a key one, to develop new opportunities in sport for blind and partially sighted people, making people aware of the sporting opportunities that are out there and working with providers to put on and deliver these new activities and new opportunities. And I think a big one that's slightly removed from participation is to enable, encourage, and educate deliverers of sport, and make them aware of the needs of blind and partially sighted people. And that's from grassroots opportunities, your first exposure to sport and physical activity, right the way up to Paralympic standard. And I'll touch on some of these as we progress through the presentation. So one of the things that British Blind Sport offer is a membership service. So this was completely revamped earlier this year in April 2025, and we now have 5 membership tiers. Out of those 5, 3 of them are absolutely free, cost no money. 2 of them have a small fee attached to them. One of our membership tiers is called the Active Membership, and this is designed for people who embrace an active lifestyle, and it doesn't really matter their activity or their fitness level. It could be somebody that likes to take a simple walk, or somebody that takes part in leisure centre activities or group fitness sessions. Following on from that, we have the Active Plus membership, and that is suitable for adults over the age of 18 who compete to a slightly higher level, and who will need a recreational site classification to compete. This membership tier is £20, but obviously that includes your site classification, which elsewhere are quite expensive. So that's quite a nice price, a nice option there. We also have a junior membership that is free until the age of 18, and you get access to all of the member benefits that I'll touch on shortly. You can also, if you're wanting to compete more nationally, you can purchase a site classification, and this can be purchased for £10 as a junior membership. So Active Plus, £20 with a site classification, junior membership, £10 with a site classification. 2 kind of new and exciting membership tiers are one for professionals and one for friends of BBS. We're very keen, as I mentioned previously, to really draw attention and raise awareness, and show people the support that is out there, particularly with professionals when it comes to upskilling and raising that awareness. The professionals membership is completely free of charge, and again, that's suitable for coaches, leisure centre staff, people in education, really just to be aware of what we offer, what we can do to support them. We also have a Friends of BBS membership, which is a free membership, again, suitable for family and friends, family members of people living with sight loss, maybe some of our volunteers who support at events and things that we do. So yeah, we've got a real kind of broad membership structure now. Again, 3 out of the 5 are completely free, and if you compete to a higher level or want to compete to a higher level, you can purchase a membership that has a site classification included as part of that. Which brings me nicely on to classification. Some of you may be aware, some of you may not, but site classifications are used to ensure fair competition and give the reassurance that that competitors and competitions are being played on a level playing field. The site classification is based on the level of vision of the athlete or the participant. A site test is taken. That's reviewed by one of our qualified classifiers, and they'll be looking to assess your visual acuity, which is how far you can see in front of you, and your visual field, which is your peripheral vision or your vision to the side. Off the back of this, and once this has been assessed, you will receive a recreational classification, which you can then use when competing nationally up and down the country. Some of you may be aware, some of you may not. The classification tiers range from B1 to B5, with B1 being the lowest amount of sight, the lowest amount of vision, and B5 being more useful vision. If you were to go on and compete at international level and Paralympic level, the classifications go between B1 and B3. But we can offer a recreational classification as part of your membership at British Blind Sport. So coming on to more of the participation element, sorry, at British Blind Sport, one of the things that we have on our website is an activity finder, and this is, I'd like to think, a one-stop shop, a bit of an online database where you can put in your postcode or your local area and a list of VI inclusive sports clubs within whatever mile radius you would like to put in. Will come up and be identified, which will have the opportunities, the contact details, when the sessions run. This was launched at the start of the COVID pandemic, just before COVID. We now have over 600 activities logged, to date nationwide, which is quite impressive. And within this 600, there's over 40 different activities and sports represented, which is a nice variety. The thing with activity finders, they are only as good as the people inputting the data, and they are only as good as the people monitoring the data that's being put in there. We're very fortunate as part of our new place-based work, which I will touch on slightly later on, that we're doing a bit of a data cleanse and making sure everything is up to date on that database, because as I said, it's only the information on there is only as good as, and up to date as the people that's putting it on there. So we're doing a bit of a data cleanse on that. But yeah, there are over 600 activities on there. I won't sit here and say that I can guarantee that'll be loads of sports in your local area, but if not, we can definitely look to work with local partners and try and make something happen, and maybe part of our place-based work again, which I'll touch on shortly. Hopefully we can do something from that if you are in some of our target areas moving forward. On our website, you'll also find our Finder Guide database, well, links to our Finder Guide database. This is something that we delivered in partnership with England Athletics some years ago now. So this is an online database that will match VI runners to licensed guide runners. All of the runners that take part in are entered on the Finder Guide database. Sorry, have all taken part in a sight loss and guide running awareness course. They are all DBS checked, and we have just under 2,000 guides trained in total, which is again quite a significant number. Again, all you need to do is put in your postcode, and it will tell you how many qualified guide runners are within, again, whatever radius you put into the database. The majority of them are prepared to travel, up to 10, 15 miles. So if somebody's not quite on your doorstep but are fairly close, there might be the opportunity to be matched with them and take part in some guide running with them. We are currently in conversations with England Athletics to reinvigorate and reinvent the sight loss and guide running awareness course, and I think we're very keen to put more of an element of lived experience into the training, which is only a good thing. So yeah, we're watch this space with an updated Finder Guide database. We're also very fortunate at BBS to oversee and support 3 different sports sections. So the sports sections deliver participation and competition opportunities for our British Blind Sport members. We have 3, which are archery, 10-pin bowling, and showdown. So archery, we have 2 main competitions during the year, indoors and outdoors. Our 10-pin bowling section oversee the 10-pin bowling league, so they have a winter league and a summer league, and they also enter, I think it's trios and pairs competitions twice a year. So opportunity for members to take part in archery and 10-pin bowling. And some of you may have heard of showdown, some of you may not. It's a fairly new sport to the country, more so off the back of the IBSA Blind Games back in 2023. Showdown is a really new and exciting sport. There's an image on the screen of showing a table. A table is about 12 foot long and about 4 foot wide. And if you could imagine air hockey at an arcade combined with table tennis played with miniature cricket bats, that hopefully goes some way to explaining what showdown is. But it's a real new, exciting sport. I think there's about 10, 11 different clubs now that are taking part in the competition and are set up. We're really kind of trying to push ahead with a showdown league so they can all compete with each other. We support UK Showdown to put on the national championships. So we have a national event in the spring, and we have one coming up at the end of November for the winter championships. So every time we work with Showdown to put on these championships, the numbers are growing. The participation rates, it's easy for me to say, are increasing. So yeah, we're very fortunate to support all those three sports sections underneath the BBS umbrella. We've also got our Active at Home section on our website and YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts for those that might not want to go to a gym or go to a leisure centre or leave their house and take part in physical activity, but might want to do something in their own homes. These are audio-led classes which have been developed with inclusive providers to support people with visual impairment to keep active in their homes. We have a real variety and a wide range of pre-recorded workouts which hopefully suit every ability, no matter what your experience level is or exposure to sport and physical activity. And there's a real kind of wide variety and wide option of activities that you can take part in and try and access at home. We've got some yoga, we've got Pilates, seated yoga, HIIT training, boxercise, circuit training, legs, bums, and tums. There's a real variety on there. So if you know potentially looking at exploring being more physically active, this might be a nice taster, a nice step into potentially taking part in wider sport physical activity off the back of complete some of those active at home workouts. And as I mentioned, you can find them on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. If you just search British Blind Sport Active at Home, they're all on there. And I've tried a couple of them myself. I pride myself on being fairly fit. I struggled in some of them. So good luck. But obviously, I've tried to do a harder level one, but there's a real variety for people. So I highly encourage you to access them if you'd like to give them a go. So next we're going to talk about Have a Go days. Some of you may be aware that traditionally we have delivered Have a Go days up and down the country, a nice geographical spread, which is a one-day multi-sports taster session where people can try a variety of different sports and hopefully enjoy them and hopefully take part in that sport thereafter. What we've found is we probably haven't really got the traction and the impact that we would like off the back of these multi-sports Have a Go days. Fantastic on the day, quite a big drop off the back of that. So we've had a bit of a strategic conversation and we're changing the way we're doing things slightly. But again, I'll touch on that later on. Instead, we're moving more towards sport-specific taster days and Have a Go days rather than multi-sport. And these aren't just sports that we pluck out of thin air and think people might enjoy. We use the data from our membership survey responses and some of the data that we put on our Be Active group on Facebook to really try and gather some insight into what it is that people want to try, what it is that people want to do, and if there's a high number of people interested in a certain sport, we will look to put that on and deliver that in partnership with the national governing body, who will then link us into the local organisation that represents that national governing body. This year we've worked with British Ice Skating and had a real successful ice skating taster session up in Sheffield. There's water sports Have a Go days, all very sport specific, but hopefully things that people want to do. You could turn up to a multi-sport Have a Go day and only really want to do one sport. So being sport specific, we're hoping we can channel that and reach the right people that want to take part in those sports. As I mentioned, these are delivered in partnership with local organisations and our friends at various national governing bodies or active partnerships in each region, and again are funded by local grants and local partners. Somewhat linked to this, we have quite a large event taking place this Sunday. So as I mentioned at the start, it is our 50th anniversary, and this Sunday we are delivering a British Blind Sport at 50 Festival of Sport. This is going to be, I know I've just said we're moving away from multi-sport to Have a Go days, but given that this is our festival and it's a large event, we can be forgiven. So this is celebrating all things VI sport and 50 years of British Blind Sport. On the day, we're going to have three kind of zones and three areas. One is a partner zone where people can come along, talk to local partners, get some information, maybe do some signposting. We're going to have an activation zone where I think we've got 9 sports on offer, from football, cricket, tennis, goalball, showdown, judo, dance. We've even got a bouldering wall for some climbing, so something a bit different there. So a real variety of sports. And we've also got a bit of a celebration heritage zone where we've got 4 Paralympians that are going to be giving different talks throughout the day. Yeah, and a bit of an area to celebrate British blind sport and share our timeline and just reflect on some of the successes that we've had during the past 50 years. As I mentioned, this is this Sunday, 19th of October, and it is taking place at Tudor Grange Leisure Centre in Solihull. For those of you who don't know, that's to the east of Birmingham, so not a million miles from the middle of the country. And as I mentioned, it's an opportunity to try out a real variety of sport, get in touch with some local partners. BBS staff will be there. We've got trustees there. We've got Paralympians there. It's going to be a real good day. We've got, as I said, we're 3 days out now, and we've had over 70 sign-ups, so numbers are looking good, which is a real positive. So if you haven't signed up for it, or if you weren't aware of it, all the information can be found on the British Blind Sport website. The deadline, I think, is tomorrow, close of play tomorrow. So if you want to get involved, I highly encourage that. If you're close to Birmingham and Solihull or the Midlands, I highly recommend signing up for that. And at the very worst of it, you'll get to meet me. So it's not all bad. Just on our 50th year and our 50th anniversary, we've been working very closely with the National Paralympic Heritage Trust. They're supporting us at the festival. There's going to be some Paralympic torches. There's going to be some Paralympic mascots that have been, at previous Paralympic Games. And we've worked very closely with them on an exhibition that's currently live at Warwick Museum. So again, anybody that's close to Warwick or Leamington Spa or Coventry, if you want to go and check out the museum, it's all things VI sport and British blind sport. It's audio described, there's braille options, it's very tactile. It's really impressive. We've worked very closely with the Paralympic Heritage Trust over the past 6 to 8 months to bring that to life. So if anybody's local to Warwick and would like to check it out, Warwick Museum, we have a 6 month exhibition there up until next March, I think. So still plenty of time if you're in the region. Talking now a bit more about the nitty gritty of some of our projects and programs that we're working on. We are very lucky to have just secured some funding from McDonald's, who are a large corporate partner, as you'll all be aware. They currently deliver a fun football program nationwide, which is, it's for sighted peers out between the ages of 5 to 11. They've reached out to us and UK Deaf Sport to see if we can, particularly for us, to encourage more blind and partially sighted children to take part in football. So this will be for blind and partially sighted children between the ages of 5 and 11 years old. We're currently working with and having conversations with a real variety of professional football clubs. I don't want to name drop, but I'm going to. We've had conversations with Manchester United, Manchester City, Fulham. We've got conversations with Leeds coming up, both of the Sheffield clubs, Bristol Rovers, something going on in the southwest. So we're very keen to have a good geographical spread with this project and program. What we're going to be doing is upskilling the football coaches from the club and some of the McDonald's fun football coaches to make sure that they're very well versed in visually impaired football, sight loss awareness, to ensure that any sessions that they deliver are safe, inclusive, fun, welcoming. We're very big on that upskilling and that raising awareness. So with that, the program is now live, and we're looking to start delivery on that. Hopefully the start of November, and that'll be for a 5 week period, and then we'll do another 5 week period next year. Just a bit of a test and learn, see how we get on, but we'll be working with 5 professional football clubs in phase 1, which, as I mentioned, should be the back end of this year, and another 3, so 8 all in total, the same 5 plus another 3 for phase 2 early next year. We're quite ambitious. I think we want to get up to 200 young people taking part in the session, so we've set ourselves a high target, but I think with our knowledge and being able to upskill clubs and coaches and staff members and the reach of professional football clubs and the power that they have and the power of their badge, I think we'll be okay. What's really nice about the project as well is every child that attends a session will be given an activity pack to take home. It's got a variety of activities and things they can practice with their family and friends at home, and we're also giving them an audible ball to take home as well. It's not going to be the same as an audible football that's used in the blind football sessions, because I don't want any invoices for broken receipts and broken windows. It's a slightly softer ball, but again, it gives an opportunity for children to take that home and participate with their family and friends. People that aren't taking part in the program or might be a bit hesitant to take part in the program, we can also distribute the activity packs to those guys. Again, with an audible ball, it'll be a slightly different ball, because trying to post a hard football isn't easy, but we've got a ball that deflates and we can post out to people nationwide as well. So if people are umming and ahhing about taking part in the program, we can send that activity pack to them and hopefully, pique their interest and get them involved in the program. So that's a very exciting development that's kicking off, excuse the pun, kicking off imminently, and we're very excited about. One thing I think I've mentioned, I don't know if I have, correct me if I haven't, but we're very fortunate actually to have a workforce development arm in BBS. So, as I mentioned, we're very keen on participation and improving and increasing participation opportunities, but we're also not naive to the fact that we need to raise awareness and upskill people and upskill, a real variety of audiences, whether that's leisure centre providers, uh, you know, personal trainers, swimming instructors, grassroots sports clubs, schools, qualified teachers of visually impaired, QTVIs. We're very aware that there's a lot of work to do in raising those awareness levels. So we're very fortunate to have two members of staff that work in our workforce development team. Again, we're incredibly fortunate to have two very well-known and well-respected Paralympic athletes that are our workforce development members of staff. One being Laura Faki, who is one of Team GB's most decorated VI cyclists. I think she's got 7 Paralympic medals, so we're very fortunate to have her on the team. And we've also got Roy Turnham, who is also a Paralympian and is the captain of the England blind football team. I think it might kill me if I get this wrong, but I think he's the second most capped player that England have got. So he's been around the block playing for England, and they're also happen to be brother and sister, which is quite funny. But they both work for us, and they are fantastic, and they really offer a different spin on the training because they bring that lived experience, and that really hits home to the attendees at the training and the sessions. So they travel up and down the country and deliver in-person workshops, and they also deliver virtual workshops again to really raise the awareness and upskill, a real variety of members of staff and professionals from across the sporting landscape. We've also got a real variety of online resources that anybody can access, whether you're a participant, you just want to learn more about a sport, or you're a professional and you want to access some more resources. We have a whole variety of those on our website. We've worked very closely with UK Coaching to create e-learning courses for professionals. So we have a generic coaching blind and partially sighted people course. We also have 4 bolt-on modules that are sport specific. So one on football, one on tennis, one on goalball, and one on swimming, which tend to be some of the most popular sports that we hear of anyway. So we have those e-learning courses, and yeah, we work very closely with national governing bodies on their workforce and their development to make sure that sport and physical activity for blind and partially sighted people is on their radar, and it's not just about finding the next elite sportsman or woman. Another exciting program that we are just launching, I think it started last month, we're a few weeks into it, is our new VI Active Together program, which is a place-based approach that is somewhat replacing our multi-sport have a go day model. So I've been in post, as I mentioned, for a year now, just over a year. And we weren't getting the traction and the long-term impact that we wanted from the multi-sport have a go days. So we had conversations internally about being brave and trying a new way of doing things. Sport England are very big on place-based working and a place approach. So we said, why don't we do something similar? So we've created VI Active Together, which is a new strategic place-based program from the back end of this year onwards to hopefully ensure sustainability, longer term impact, and create more opportunities for people to take part in sport and physical activity. So for this to happen, we've had to do quite a significant mapping piece, a mapping exercise. Again, we just didn't want to pick random locations up and down the country. That's not what we're about. We're a lot more strategic. So we looked at the RNIB sight loss data tool. We looked at the sight loss population up and down the country, our relationships and priority areas with national governing bodies, sight loss organisations, all those kind of things, surveys, conversations. And we've picked 3 locations for our first year, which are Birmingham, Greater Manchester and Leeds, Bradford, West Yorkshire kind of way. So the first target area, fortunately for me, again being a Brummie, is Birmingham. But we've currently got an expression of interest out to a variety of clubs in the region to upskill their staff, and create longer term provision and longer term opportunities in each region. With it as part of that training and upskilling, we can also offer funding to these clubs to purchase specialised or adaptive equipment. It's not thousands, but it's a nice amount to hopefully support them and get them up and running. That the agreement is that they come on board for at least 16 weeks, which is it's a 4 month period, and then throughout that 4 months of delivery, we will be working with them to identify funding streams, to make sure the sessions last beyond the 16 weeks. So, instead of a have a go day, which is a one-stop shop, we want this to be a more prolonged, detailed, longer term, sustainable opportunity for people to take part in sport and physical activity in those three regions that I've mentioned. I think what's important as well is that we're creating VI sport networks in each of the regions that we work in. So that will be a combination of all the clubs that have been a part of the project. That'll be ourselves, and we're really keen to get people with lived experience as part of those sport networks. I think that's very crucial to the development and the ongoing success of every project. So if you are in those regions, we'll be potentially looking to work with you if you're interested to be part of our VI sport network and just champion the voice of visually impaired people, and keep us to task and keep us accountable, because we want to make sure we're getting it right. And as I said, for the longer term and not just a flash in the pan. Again, I've mentioned it briefly, but we've adopted this place-based approach because the have a go days ultimately weren't leading to longer term sustainability and the participation routes or the exit routes that we would have liked to achieve. We're very fortunate to have strong relationships with active partnerships, disability sports partnerships, national governing bodies, and sight loss organisations up and down the country. And it's, as I mentioned previously, the place-based approach is a real opportunity to involve stakeholders at many levels, from NGBs right the way down to people that want to take part in these sports, and everybody in between. We're very big on the lived experience voice, and that's crucial to the success of this program. Again, it's an opportunity to upskill and raise awareness, which I think is a massive thing. I was having a conversation earlier, but ultimately you don't know what you don't know unless you're exposed to something and have that awareness. You won't know. So this is an opportunity to raise these awareness levels and upskill, plenty of coaches and volunteers. And I think the biggest and most important factor is it's an opportunity to enable more blind and partially sighted people to take part in regular. And I think that's the key word: regular physical activity. Not just one day, not for a weekend, not for a couple of days. This is regular, at least 16 weeks and beyond, which is very important to us. Excuse me. So, yeah, as I've mentioned, well, I probably mentioned the core objectives of this, of course, are to increase local participation, to really strengthen grassroots partnerships, and bridge that gap between clubs and organisations and the visually impaired community. I think that's really important. And create repeatable impact. We're using Birmingham as a bit of a test and learn, but things that we do well, we can then mirror in Manchester and then up into Leeds and West Yorkshire. But it's also important for us to make changes if there are any mistakes or any things that could be done differently or done better. Once we fine tune that, I think we'll have a really useful, repeatable model that can be used up and down the country. We're very big on upskilling the local workforce. I think that's crucial. I think that's of paramount importance. And ultimately, it's going to be community led. It's going to be a sustainable growth model driven by the people that utilise the sessions and need it most, which is very important to us. The phases of development of our place-based VI Active Together programme, there were the four elements: the discovery, the relationship development, the delivery, and the sustainability. In Birmingham, we're currently at the relationship development stage. So we've put out an expression of interest to local clubs across Birmingham. We're already oversubscribed, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's great that people want to get involved and do more and offer visually impaired sport, but it also shows that there's a real need and a real gap for us to try and do something there. So we're currently fine-tuning our selections as to who we can support. We want to support everybody. We won't be able to fund all of the organisations, but we at least want to upskill as many as we can so they have the training and awareness, which is it's just as important. As I mentioned, then we'll move on to the delivery stage, which will be 16 weeks of activity. But again, everybody that comes on board with the programme is for the long term. It's for beyond the 16 weeks. It's not just those 16 weeks and then we parachute out. It's beyond 16 weeks. But hopefully the training and the bit of funding, acts as a bit of a springboard for people to carry on delivering the sessions. So as I mentioned, we're currently in Birmingham. We'll be moving up to Manchester early next year. Later on next year, we'll be moving to Leeds and West Yorkshire, and then beyond that, we'll be moving into Lancashire and Merseyside. Apologies, it's a bit of a northern skew, but you can trust us. We'll be moving lower down in the country to more southern regions as the project progresses. So yeah, we've got funding for a good couple of years. So we've got 5 regions that we're going to be working in. And hopefully, if that's successful and we can demonstrate the success, hopefully that leads to securing more funding and we can expand the project further south in the country. We're very aware that there are regions, particularly in the southwest and on the south coast, that could probably have some support with some sessions and opportunities and provision, but we'll get there. So, just some key dates. As I mentioned, VI Active Together has just launched. The McDonald's Fun Football Programme is launching this month. It is live and again kicking off as we speak. We have the BBS Festival of Sport this Sunday. If you are interested in taking part in that, if you go onto British Blind Sport website, you'll find information on there on how to sign up. I would encourage you to do it very quickly because, as I mentioned, I think entries close tomorrow. We have our British Blind Sport Youth Swimming Gala on November the 9th, which again is at Tudor Grange Leisure Centre in Solihull. And then the end of November, we have the Showdown Winter Nationals, as I mentioned again, which are in Birmingham. It's very centre of the country centric, but in terms of transport routes and equidistant travelling, it's probably one of the best places to get to. Everybody has to travel a fairly similar amount. So there's some key dates between now and the end of the year. If you want to find out any more on anything that I've just mentioned, if you head to britishblindsport.org.uk, you can find out more. If you're on Facebook, if you just put in British Blind Sport. If you're on Instagram, if you put in Brit Blind Sport, and on X, I still call it Twitter, but X, if you put in @Brit Blind Sport, you'll find us there. I'm more than happy to share my direct email if you'd like to find out any more. We also have a British Blind Sport helpline, which you can access between 9 to 5 every day of the week, which is 01926 424 247. If you have any questions or queries about a sport that you might want to get involved in, or classification or membership, or you might need some support with a leisure centre who isn't supporting you or making reasonable adjustments, get in touch with us and we will do what we can. I mentioned earlier, we're happy to be positively disruptive where we need to be. So that is me. I'm very conscious I've spoken for about 40 minutes, so I will stop there. I'll stop sharing my screen and we might have some questions.
Thank you so much, Luke. That was so interesting. And the classification was something that I had never, I'd written myself my own question, actually. What is that? Because I didn't understand. And then your next slide, of course, moved on to it and explained it all in full. So if somebody is in I don't know, their children go to a school where their child perhaps is living with sight loss,
Mhm.
but they're not finding that the child is being included as much as they would like. Should they just get in touch with British Blind Sport? Is that the sort of
Yeah,
conversations that,
100%. We, we,
yeah?
we can definitely work with the school. We can work with the local sensory support service. We can work with the Youth Sport Trust potentially and their school games organisers. We're very well connected and are very, very keen, as I've mentioned throughout this, to raise awareness and upskill as many people as we can. If any of the schools are in our place-based regions, they can access the training free of charge. If they're not in those regions, there is a small charge, but it's a small fee for longer term, larger outcomes. So yeah, we'd be very happy to have conversations with schools, teachers, QTVIs, sensory support services. We'd be happy to get Laura or Roy or both of them involved to come along and deliver some training because ultimately, it's the beauty of it. If you have a visually impaired child in a mainstream school, being able to raise the awareness of 27, 28 other children is incredible. And that's really important to us. And we think getting in at schools and getting in at that young age is where you start to set the scene and get your interest in sport, physical activity. And if you don't have a positive experience when you're young, it's highly likely you won't carry on participating in sport as you get older. If we can get in there at a younger age and make those sporting, experiences or those experiences as positive as we can, that's where hopefully you get that hook, and then people like to carry on, as they get older. So yeah, we'd be happy to talk to anybody that'd like to get in touch with us, and we can, of course, the school would have to be receptive and want to work with us. I'd be amazed, or I would struggle to think of reasons why they wouldn't want to work with us or want to get the support or the upskilling or the awareness. But yeah, we've got our workforce guys that are dedicated to hopefully raising awareness and training as many people as we can.
And at the other end of the scale, sorry, this is another question from me. Our participants are being very quiet, but at the other end of the scale, for older people, obviously it's really important for older people to stay active.
Mhm.
Thinking about your online provision that you touched on in your presentation, would some of those be suitable for an older audience? I'm thinking about chair-based
Yeah.
exercise and so on.
100%. Yeah, we've got chair yoga. We've got all the activities can be that they're aimed at a real variety of audiences, ages, abilities. The key the key with us being about inclusion is that we want those to be as inclusive as they can be. But we're very aware that somebody in their 80s probably can't do what they did in their 30s. So yeah, so we adapt, accordingly. We're very like we've got the Festival of Sport on Sunday. We've got an 89-year-old coming,
Oh,
so,
wow.
so just showing that across the life course, people want to get involved and find out more. So yeah, those active at home activities are pitched different ages, different stages, different abilities. Yeah, because like I said, we don't want to put barriers in that don't need to be there. So yeah, that
No,
there.
absolutely.
Hopefully, there's a real broad spectrum, a broad audience that can take part in those.
Our audience being very shy. Come on, guys. I'm encouraging you. If you have any questions,
I
do
mean, that
please
might just be
ask
because it was
them.
a perfect presentation, maybe.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It was really interesting. So many different things going on.
Mhm.
Fascinating about the McDonald's sponsorship with the football.
Yeah,
So yeah, so much going on, and obviously more to come
yeah,
over the next few months.
absolutely.
So
Like,
yeah, thank you. I think given that our audience being very quiet, I'm going to wrap things up. But obviously, if anybody does have any questions, do get in touch with Luke. His contact details were on the final slide. We'll make sure that they're included when we send the email out as well. So if anyone
yeah,
wants to get in touch, then
I'm
please do so.
more than happy for you to share my direct email address. More than happy to if needed.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Luke. I'm just going to finish off by saying that the Retina UK holds a webinar most months about a range of different topics. We also do a monthly podcast, which can be found on Spotify. Um, to ensure that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming webinars, podcasts, or any other events that we're holding, you can visit our website, sign up to our monthly newsletter, or keep an eye out on social media channels. Remember that you can stay connected with us through our peer support groups, which again can be found on our website and in our newsletter. So yeah, just finally, thank you very much for a really, really interesting presentation, Luke. And we will hopefully get lots of people signing up to get involved, get
Hopefully, yeah.
active.
Like I said,
That's what we want,
if
isn't
anybody
it?
has any questions, they're more than happy to reach out to us or go on the BBS website. Like I said, our helpline's on there, contact details are on there, and thank you for inviting
You're very welcome.
me.
Well, take care, everybody, and good night.